المعالي أصحاب
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, honorable participants, may the blessings of Allah and the peace of Allah be upon you. And thank you within the PSF for the ISDB group. Before we start, I have to tell you that we have interpretation provided into English and French and Arabic. And you can use the interpretation equipment that is there. I wish to welcome you in the forum for the PSF for the ISDB group affiliated to the group, the Islamic Institution for the Safeguarding of Investment, ISIC. It is the Institution of Islamic for the Development of the Private Sector, ICD, and it is the Institution Islamic for the Development of Trade, ITFC. And this forum of the ISDB group, and we have local partners from the different government institutions and private sector in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and all member states. Honorable participants, the basic objective behind those events is to shed light on the activities of the group of the ISDB and its services, its different initiatives in the member states, including the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, through the reinforcement of the different services for the private sector that is aspiring to invest in Saudi Arabia and to reinforce the perspective of the Kingdom 2030 and participation between the public and private sector among the member states. In addition to all this, it will provide the different events, opportunities for trade and investment, particularly with our celebration this year of the Golden Jubilee of the ISDB, which possesses about 50 years of achievements and accomplishments and continued services. And here we have to pay tribute for this march of the ISDB. Also, the forum of the PSF has an outstanding program, including bilateral meetings during the event. It also included a program, other joints for the institutions of the ISDB, where the different businessmen can have bilateral meetings. Also, we will have a special fair, including the services of the ISDB for the member states, in addition to the participation of the different international investment institutions and the Saudi investment authorities, providing opportunities for investments in the field of trade and commerce. It is noteworthy to speak about the investments of the bank, and those events will provide awards for the winning corporations in the field of investment and trade and commerce during the event. Also, it is a pleasure to have the participation of very outstanding figures who are fully aware of the private sector and economic development, and I hope for all attendees to make use of those valuable events. Now we want to watch a small video about the private sector that is affiliated to the ISDB group.
For countries to develop their economies, achieve sustainable development goals, and create new jobs, they need to have access to finance and be able to mitigate political and commercial risks. In line with the emerging needs of the private sector in its members' countries, the Islamic Development Bank Group, ISDB Group, created 3 dedicated business arms. Working with ISDB Group entities, private sector and SME clients get access to needed resources and support their own growth, which includes Islamic trade finance solutions, project investment, and Islamic insurance against business risk. Attracting investments and exports is vital to a thriving economy. The Islamic Cooperation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISIC, helps OIC member countries achieve this goal through the provision of its insurance and reassurance solutions. These Sharia-compliant solutions enlarge the scope of cross-border trade and enable foreign investment by giving you confidence to enter new markets in a risk-mitigated manner. Our solutions can help unlock transactions, facilitating foreign investment while making your business more competitive. The Islamic Cooperation for the Development of the Private Sector, ICD, is mandated to support the private sector in its member countries. ICD builds partnerships to establish collective financing. ICD focuses its financing on development projects that aim to create job opportunities, encourage exports, and boost the economic growth of its member countries. In addition, ICD extends lines of finance to support small and medium enterprises, which drive the country's economic development. Briefly, ICD's solutions will help your business achieve its ambitions. We founded the International Islamic Trade Finance Cooperation, ITFC, to catalyze trade. By enhancing intra-OIC trade, we contribute to the growth of imports and exports in our member countries to strengthen their economies. Integrated trade solutions, including trade finance and trade development programs, enables our member countries and private sector clients to access various trade solutions and benefit from cross-border trade activities. ISDB Group entities partner with different private and public stakeholders. These partnerships play a crucial role in enhancing resilience to address common challenges, achieve shared goals, fostering collaboration, leverage resources, and create new solutions. Building resilience through multi-sector partnerships can strengthen communities' capacity to withstand and recover from shocks, promoting long-term sustainability and well-being. Together, our organizations address every challenge your business faces through a comprehensive partnership formula. ICD finances your projects. ITFC finances and boosts your trade deals. ISIC ensures your investment and export transactions. And ISDB's Group Business Forum, FICA, promotes synergy among ISDB Group member countries. The result is a perfect ecosystem for your business to grow.
يسرنا الآن أن
It is a pleasure now to hit with a welcome statement for Dr. Mohammed Slimeen Al-Jassim, the head of the SDP group. And despite he was unable to attend personally, he was careful to provide us with this recorded statement. In the name of God Almighty, the compassionate, and prayer be on the most noble of messengers and prophets, our Prophet Muhammad and his kinsmen, and all who has followed them until the day of judgment. Honorable and Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, may the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon you. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you all in this 12th session of the private sector of the ISDB group that is being held in the margins of the annual meetings of the ISDB group in commemoration and coinciding with the Golden Jubilee of the ISDB. It is my pleasure to thank you for your participation and your effective contribution to this event, this forum through which we are providing an opportunity to the investors and the businessmen and the decision makers from the member states to be able to contact with their peers in the different countries and to exchange experience and to hold partnerships and establishment of trade relations among them. It is a very good opportunity for finding out closely the different services that are provided by the different institutions of the ISDB group in the interest of the private sector and to get acquainted with what it means to make use of them and those services to increase the development of the private sector and providing the investment events and safeguarding them and financing investment projects and different trade transactions within the field of exports and the safeguard of investment. The institution for the safeguard of investment and exports. It is the arm of guards of the scene for the different agents in order to limit the different political effects related to investment in the different member states. The total activities that have been provided by the institution since it was established more than 30 years included more than 108 billion US dollars and was supported by $51 million supporting investment and trade among the member states of the ISDB. As for the International Institution for the Private Sector Development, it was established in the year 1999, has established 451 projects with a total value amounting to $6.9 billion in the different sectors, financially, infrastructure, agriculture, industrialization, and energy, and has different investment operations in 50 countries. And it was focused since 2023 on aiding SMEs in order to develop and to renovate and supporting the member states to receive energy and supporting the infrastructure. As for the Islamic Institute for the Development of Trade, its total credits since it was established in 2008 included more than $75 million, and in 2023 only the institution supported operations in the value of $6.9 million in the field of agriculture, energy, and SMEs. The total financing provided by the private sector since it was established until the end of 2020 included more than $18 billion. In strong belief for the ISDB in the importance of providing and acquainting the businessmen in member states with the investment opportunities and their propagation since 2009, the ISDB group has a confidence element, and this forum was able to organize several events for investment in the member states and established also many agreements and conventions in order to make use of the opportunities in the field of investment and trade that would allow that to the member states and to put them to the different entrepreneurs and businessmen through the forum within the private sector. And its forum in 2023, different institutions of the private sector organized 15 dialogue forums attended by more 2,000 businessmen and businesswomen, in addition to the more virtual participation about more than 1,500 businessmen and businesswomen from different Asian countries, and about 20 exhibitors took part in the fair that is accompanying the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, in my conclusion, I want to express our deep gratitude and appreciation to all the different participants and the guests and the honorable speakers who have honored us with their presence today. And I wish also to affirm to you that your institution, the ISDB Group, aspires to have out of this important forum recommendations facing the different challenges and aspirations. The group, with great interest, will follow the event of this forum that will contribute with very effectiveness all that you will be reach, the different ideas and the proposals that were made that will improve interactive trade and exchange of investment for the field of development and the strategy among the different countries. May God provide you with every success in the interest of the member states and for the prosperity and progress of the member states, and may the peace of and blessings of Allah be upon your path. I thank the President for this very inspiring statement that included very important figures and different stops in our cell. Now we will provide the awards for the private sector of the ISDB Group. This initiative started with the ISDB Group in order to express evaluation for the different outstanding achievements and different pioneer innovations from the different investors that lead to the positive changes and transformation using the different financial elements that are keeping with the Islamic Sharia. The awards will include the private sector for 2024, supervised by a committee of different independent juries supported by a progress of selection that is strict and clear, that supports the different ways and means to guarantee the different investment and trade and the development of the private sector for the financing of development. It is a pleasure for me to invite you, Mr. Hazem Qasi, the Executive Director for the Islamic Development Group, in order to provide the awards from the institution. You have the floor, sir.
You are welcome, Ustaz Osama. I would like to announce that the award of the exports credit, the award is for the most distinguished exports in conformity with the contributions made in this field. Kaza Export. It is Kaza Export.
Congratulations to Kaza Export. والجائزة الأخرى.
The other award is the award of the institution, Islamic Institution for Investments Credit. It is the award of innovation for this year in the field of trade.
FDB. ألف مبروك لهم. والآن أود أن أشكر سعادة
I would like to thank Ustaz Osama Aysari, the Executive Director of the Islamic Enterprise for the exports credit. I would like to thank him for joining us during these awards.
من بنك AFDB. شكرا لكم. يسرني الآن أن أدعو
I would like to invite Engineer Hani Salim Shukri, the Executive Director of the International Enterprise for Islamic Enterprise for the Trade and also the Institution for the Development of the Private Sector. He is welcome. We would like to start by the awards of the Islamic Institutes for the awards of the private sector. The winner, we would like to ask Al-Ustaz Muhammad to come in order to receive the award. We congratulate you on the occasion of this award for this year. The other award is the award of the Islamic financing for this year. It is a support for the small enterprises in the field of Islamic investment. We would like to greet them and to congratulate them on this award. Now we are going to move the other award. It is the award of trade financing. This is the company that contributed the most to this in this field for 2023.
وندعو السيد.
We request Mr. Hani.
Exim Bank. ألف مبروك. ننتقل.
Congratulations Now the second prize for the International Institution for Trade Financing. So we are going to honor the companies that has contributed the most to the trade financing.
And we ask Ms. Mary Kamel, Chief Executive Officer from the Foreign Trade Training Center, to join us on stage. كل الشكر لسعادة المهندس هاني سالم.
We thank Engineer Mohandes Sami and would like to congratulate all the winners for having received these very important awards from the ISD development for the Islamic Development Bank. Can we congratulate them again? Honorable participants, now we are going to convene the first session for this dialogue. It is mainly for the executive directors of the Department of the Islamic Development Bank.
Insurance and Investment for Vision 2030. كما أود أن أدعو رئيسة الجلسة.
I'd like to thank the chairperson, the journalist and colleague to come forward.
شكرا لزميلة.
Thank you for our colleague Tagreed for the introduction. You are most welcome to this forum. The PSV allow me to shift to English language for this session. As I have been told, there is a simultaneous interpretation for this session.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for the ISDB Group Private Sector Forum 2024. I'm Nadine Hani. I present the business news shows on Al Arabiya News Network, and these days we have a new channel, Al Arabiya Business. I hope you're watching it. And it is such a pleasure and honor to be here with you in Riyadh to moderate the CEO's session titled Unlocking Economic Potential, Strategic Integration of Trade, Insurance and Investments for Vision 2030. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has embarked on a transformative journey charted out by its Vision 2030 to diversify its economy and position itself as a global hub for trade, finance, and investment. Central to this vision is the strategic integration of trade, insurance, and investments, sectors that are instrumental in catalyzing economic diversification, fostering entrepreneurial ecosystems, and driving sustainable growth. The trade sector is anticipated to become more dynamic and interconnected, leveraging the kingdom's geographic location to amplify its role in global commerce. Meanwhile, the insurance sector is recognized as a pillar for risk management, essential for the stability and resilience of businesses in the face of global uncertainties. Investments, both foreign and domestic, are the engines of economic growth, innovation, and job creation, which are crucial for the kingdom's aspirations to nurture a vibrant, knowledge-based economy. So what strategic approach can help Saudi Arabia navigate the complexity of the interplay between those sectors and unlock the synergies that can help it achieve its ambitious goals? This CEO session aims to dissect the current landscape, envision the future, and chart a course for cohesive growth by drawing on best practices and building on strategic partnerships. To discuss these topics, we have the pleasure of welcoming our esteemed speakers, His Excellency Mr. Osama Qaisi, CEO of the Islamic Corporation for Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISIC, His Excellency Engineer Hani Salim Sumbul, CEO of ITFC, International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, and also acting CEO of ICD, the Islamic Corporation for the Development of the Private Sector, His Excellency Engineer Ahmed Mohammed Al-Swayyan, Governor of the Digital Government Authority, and Professor Benedict Orama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afrexim Bank. Gentlemen, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today. Before we start our conversation, let us take a minute to watch together this introductory video about this panel, and then we will start the discussion. That I will be giving you the opportunity to address your questions to our speakers. At the end of this session, we will leave some time for Q&A, so kindly start preparing your questions. Gentlemen, thanks again for being with us. Engineer Swayyan, let us start with you. Today, we cannot talk about economic development in any country around the world without talking about digitization. So can you tell us a little bit more, what is the role that digital innovation can play in supporting the investment climate and ease of doing business in general, and also here in Saudi Arabia, given what's happening under the umbrella of Vision 2030?
Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to welcome all of you here in Riyadh, and I would like to congratulate the ISDB in the Golden Jubilee. It's really great to be today in this annual meetings with this great panel. And talking about digitalization, I have to emphasize on the great effort that ISDB is already doing, especially once it comes to the digital inclusion that is launched as a strategy last year by His Excellency Mohammed Al-Jasser. And the focus of the digital inclusion strategy for ISDB and its member is really to bridge the digital divide within all of the members. So that's a great effort and clear steps, tangible steps that we see from ISDB. And talking about digital transformation within any country, I would like to speak about Vision 2030, where digital transformation is a key enabler that we can see cross-cutting all the different sectors and all objectives. And talking about the pillars of Vision 2030, if we talk about the vibrant society, we can see clear link with the participation and engagement for every citizen. And the same goes for thriving economy. Thriving economy is about productivity, and also it's about efficiency, how we can increase our productivity and how we can reduce the cost. And the same goes also for the ambitious nation, which is about research and innovation indeed. And for the investment climate and easing doing business within the country, you can see a seamless today process with the frictionless steps that we offer for all the 4 different phases of doing business that start with investment attraction before even you start the business. And the second is basically starting the business itself. And then after that, doing the business, and in the unlikely case of closing the business. So all of these processes are all seamless with a great experience, frictionless, that are being offered to all of the private sector.
We're going to ask you more about the initiatives, the special initiatives and collaborations that you are doing, but let us talk about the insurance sector, given that it's one of the pillars of the ISDB group. Mr. Qaisi, we live in a world that has many, many uncertainties, and unfortunately they are increasing by the day, whether we talk about geopolitical issues, whether about the trade war, whether what's happening in the Red Sea. Really the challenges are massive, in addition to unequal growth around the world. The insurance sector is a main pillar when we talk about trade and investments. Can you tell us a little bit more? How can the insurance sector be better aligned with trade and investment initiatives to increase economic resilience in the face of these economic uncertainties?
Thank you, Nadine. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Private Sector Forum. This is an opportune time, like it was mentioned, to discuss these issues that are prevalent within the context of Vision 2030, as we are hosted by the Kingdom, to celebrate our Jubilee here. But at the same time, there are issues to address that affect this economy here as a global player, being Saudi Arabia, and similarly for the membership of the OIC. And it was mentioned by Nadine, we live in a turbulent world. That did not start now, it started back in 2020, and before that there was a trade war between China and between the US.
And it is exacerbating also.
Exactly, exacerbating, and we're still living the repercussions of these matters that we are still living today. And we have to all go back and dig into our subconscious to realize that we lived through a period called COVID, okay? A lot of us today have forgotten this period that we lived together, and still the repercussions are happening. After that, we have the war that is in Europe between Russo-Ukrainian war, and then after that we have the issues that have been engulfed, in Palestine, and similarly its effect on, the routes in the Red Sea. At the backdrop of all of this, we can talk about the cruciality of insurance and the role it plays in bringing stability, not just to the day-to-day dealing, but also for the flow of investments, and certainly in the flow of trade across the world that is there. How do we work as an insurance institution? Insurance institution, like any other business, the overriding and anchoring role that we play is risk management. Risk mitigation is at the heart of what we do. And this is where we start looking at the perception of the business that we transact. Risk mitigation is something very important, and it is important in the sense it is diversified. And in an institution like ISIC, where we have 57 member states, where we deal with them on the investment part of the business, and our business is global when it comes to trade. So we have to pay specific attention to every country and its specificity of the risk that we address in these member states. So we have that as a priority and as a pillar in order for us to provide the needed solutions going forward. Another part of what we do in order for us to bring that integration between investment and trade are collaboration and partnership, and you are going to hear that a lot when you are in a conference dealing with development. This is at the heart of what we do. It is collaboration, it is partnership. Institutions like ours, like Islamic Development Bank, cannot function today without having real partnerships on the ground and collaboration. And here specifically I say about the private sector collaboration and partnership. In addition to that, we have to be advocating for our cause. So policy advocacy as well is an issue that is prevalent at the group level, similarly to ISIC. We have to be able to engage with regulators to advocate on policy making in order for us to see how we can advance the cause of insurance and to continue to do our intended role as an institution that is multilateral, and similarly in the private sector as a whole. One of the things as well that we have to always talk about, and it was brought to the attention of the audience, is the changes that we are facing in respect of the AI and its development, and similarly the level of education that is needed in order for us to catch up as practitioners at different level of institutions that we are serving and helping and supporting. At the level of the private sector, at the level of the sovereigns as well, there's lots of capacity building and there is lots of support that we give as institutions in order to elevate the knowledge and the know-how about the changing environment of doing business in order for us to transact business more freely and in a better way to deliver to constituents.
Engineer Sumbul, when we talk about trade today, we have trade wars ongoing. We have a diminishing role for the World Trade Organization. At the same time, when we look regionally here, Saudi Arabia has ambitions to be a global trading hub under Vision 2030. So can you tell us, wearing your cap of ITFC, can you tell us how is ITFC adapting its strategies to the global trading landscape while supporting Vision 2030's ambitions when it comes to a logistical and trading hub?
Thank you very much, Nadine. And before I really start talking, I really have to express my little bit of my emotions here today, serving this great institutions for 40 years. I feel very proud, really, of really having this moment to celebrate with all of you. Really, 50 years of really this unique institutions like the IDB Group, and I really feel very proud, and I thank you all for coming really to really join us in this very big celebrations. You know, trade evolution, you know, is very clear that since the inception, since the beginning of of life on Earth, the trade has been really revolving and evolving. Very much over different milestones. And of course, Saudi Arabia is part of this globe. We all remember, we know maybe early 3000 PCE when the Egyptians started maybe the trading, and then we went to what is called the Silk Road, and the Silk Road where we have seen how worlds were connected and the need for traders to move through borders and so on, and also to the age of exploration, and then we went actually to the age of globalization and the Industrial Revolution, and also maybe as maybe Dr. Soyan agree with me that we have reached to an age of what is called today the digital era or digital trade. Countries, they go through that. So institutions like unique institutions like ITFC, where, you know, we started really to work on this very important sector, not only with Saudi Arabia, with all member countries. Being a unique institution, started in the late 70s to provide really the first trade operations, where at that time most of the MDBs, they thought that this is actually I would say this is a liquidity management, you know, at that time. But today, we see that every single MDB, today they have really either a window or a product that can be classified as trade support. So Saudi Arabia, of course, being really the heart of the IDB Group, you know, and this is definitely a country that has a great vision. You know, us as an institution like ITFC and other sister institutions, we feel very proud to be part of this vision implementation and be part of really supporting Saudi Arabia exporters, where I think that it is very important really to be part of really this very ambitious plans, and we are actually seeing it happening. And this is what makes us more energetic, that for ITFC and others to really provide more and more. ITFC, we were basically focusing only on what was called the trade finance and extending simple trade lines and so on. But now I think since we felt that we want to get involved into more sophisticated visions of countries, we have to have the products, and we should have really the tools really to be able to support really these visions. We know that, for example, Saudi Arabia has really accorded the trade quite, I would say, importance, and that's why we felt we need to have the tools to do that. You know, we started really exploring and seeing how we can really work with the authorities at that time to really promote exporters and to really enhance the diversification, because the the whole, idea of this vision is actually to improve efficiency, improve competitiveness, and also provide, the right and prosper, environment for business in this country. People and nations and economy, the three main pillars. We felt that we need to design something for that. So we started actually working with the authorities, like the export authorities in the beginning, and then after that we were part of one of the big initiatives, the EDLIB initiatives, that where we have signed really also MOUs with authorities to promote exports of Saudi Arabia to diversify the economy. And we started really working on the idea of really, with those great thinkers who thought of having a Saudi Exim Bank at that time. We felt we need to be part of that. We have the expertise. We have been doing it for a long time. So I think that was really the beginning when we started to work with the Saudi Exim Bank also as a, back office, as we supported really Saudi Exim Bank. And now they became a strategic partner actually for ITFC in really promoting exporters in Saudi Arabia. And we've done quite well. And then, of course, we thought, what about this big segment in the society, which is the SMEs? And I think Saudi Arabia depends heavily on the SMEs. And I think we felt that we have to have a Kingdom of Saudi Arabia SME development program. Whom to go to? Actually, we went to the Saudi Exim Bank and Munshaat, and we felt that we do have a lot to offer, really, the Saudi, small and medium enterprises. Then we started the implementation of what is called the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia SME development program, where we provide, all possible solutions to exporters, whether it is really access to financing or actually in developing capacities for, of course, capitalizing, I'm sure, for what is Munshaat, this great institution, is doing in Saudi Arabia. And I really feel very proud really to work with them. Saudi Exim Bank, in a very short period of time, they were able actually to make a big difference in the area of really financing trade and exporting. So this is part of what we do. So we try to see also all these new free zones, trying to support by providing the logistical support to that. Also what we see now in facilitating trade. Saudi Arabia is the most supporter of a big initiative today. It's called the Aid for Trade for the Arab States. المساعدة من أجل التجارة للدول العربية. Saudi Arabia is the major supporter, and that's why also we feel that they have a big role really to play, and we are actually partnering up with them. I don't want to take much of the time. We have a lot to say in the coming questions.
Especially on the private sector, and I will be asking you to tell us more about what are you doing in terms of support for the SME sector. But before that, let us ask Professor Orama. The ISDB has a strength, which is the number of member countries, and which allows it to draw from the experiences of what has already been done. So we would like to ask you, from your experience in Africa, what lessons can be learned about aligning trade with insurance and investments to stimulate economic growth?
Hello. Let me start by also congratulating the ISDB for reaching the very, very important age of 50 years. And getting to 50 years and being younger rather than old is becoming more vibrant.
Maturing yes. And getting younger at the same time.
Becoming more vibrant as it ages. and we owe that to the great men and women who work there, and we are really proud to be partners of the ISDB group, especially ITFC, ISIC, ICD, with whom we work every day in many capacities, including the Arab-Africa trade bridges. Now, let me come to your question. Trade has, over the years, been known to be the engine of growth and development. Trade brings innovation, brings efficiency, opens markets for small open economies of the type we have in many developing countries, especially Africa. But there is one thing about trade. When you trade, goods have to be produced and shipped before payments are made. To produce goods, you have to make investments. To then ship those goods, you need money to ship them. And because the trade is done outside your boundaries, it comes with risks in many ways. So that is why trade is closely interlinked with investment, issue of risk and insurance, and of course, related to that, market access. And that is why at Afreximbank, we recognize this, and we've been able to develop the bank into what we call today a trade and project finance supermarket. That is a one-stop shop for providing you all the solutions you need that will take care of your business from the investment through the trading to market access to risk management. So from project preparation facility that helps the clients to develop project ideas into bankable projects, to project finance, to equities, to trade finance, to guarantees, to insurance, to digital, the Africa Trade Gateway, to advocacy, to capacity building. Afreximbank offers it. We have something for everyone. And we use all these services to knit together our clients and the activities we are involved in. And we also do this on the basis of partnership because we know the importance of the different activities that are required to make trade effective. That's why we built a strong partnership with the ISDB group. In the area of trade finance, we work very, very closely with ITFC, and over the years, we've done more than $1 billion in transactions supporting trade between the Arab countries and Africa and intra-African trade. We've also worked very closely with ISIC, enabling us to use the capacities they give us to support the intermediation we provide through letters of credit and other risk management techniques we apply. And with ICD, we are now beginning to expand our relationship to enable us deploy more funding to investments in trade enabling infrastructure, including industrial infrastructure, and also enabling companies to acquire the equipment they need to produce for exports. So we are really happy to be here to continue to partner with ISDB as we solve the triple problem of trade, investment, and insurance. Thank you.
Engineer Swayan, we are talking about aligning insurance with trade and investments in support of economic growth, and the key word seems to be collaborations. So let me ask you, what regulatory changes and cross-border collaborations are needed to enhance the digital ecosystem in support of economic diversification and economic growth and resilience that is required under Vision 2030?
Indeed, Nadir, and I think this is a very key question, how we really go to the next level. So far, different countries, different governments are working in vertical. We can see major efficiency and better productivity within every government, but I think we need to work in a global level for a better integration and better collaboration that will give us the results that we are looking for. And maybe let me emphasize into three different main categories that we really need to focus on perhaps on the next few years. The first one is the global digital ID. Today, not maybe a single transaction that we can see, not only for individual, but also for enterprises, it needs sort of authentication, whether it is payment, whether it is a trade transaction, or even if it is a post in the social media, we need really to have this authentication. And so far, there is no joint and agreed upon protocol between different countries how we can actually authenticate people and authenticate enterprises. Having this protocol is going actually to enable growth and better transaction, and it is something that very simple that we can do like what we have did in TCP/IP perhaps more than 30 years ago once the internet have started. The second is the data cross-border flow. Today, I think there is more need for having data flow between different nations and countries so that we can gain more trust and allow these data actually to be used in order to do a decision by any country. And maybe two examples is, we can see it in travel management. Today, if you are traveling in an airport or even from the road, there are two different passport checkpoints, and the same, there are two different custom checkpoints. So if we have the data flow with the trust, of course, between different countries, this will really take us to the next level. Last but not least is actually the integration frameworks and the interoperable frameworks between different countries that will allow us to have the systems talking to each other between different countries. And maybe taking an example of two sectors that are well developed by our colleagues of the private sector. The first is the banking sector, in which we see today SWIFT as a protocol. It is allowing actually transfer between different banks with agreed upon, I would say, services, with agreed upon fields that are giving it trust. The same goes also for the debit card or even the credit card. You can use your credit card or debit card at any country, regardless of the issuance bank. The same is also in telecommunication. You can use your SIM card, although if it is from an operator here in Saudi, you can use it in any country with a clear process of CRM and billing, I would say, integration. We need to have the same between different governments. That will take us really into the next level with a better efficiency, better experience, and of course, more productivity.
Since we are talking about digital, Engineer Sumbul, I just want to ask you here between parentheses, I know that ITFC is doing some work in helping member countries close the digital gap. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you are working on digital solutions to enhance efficiencies in member countries, including Saudi Arabia?
Well, thank you. What Engineer Soyan said is that today everything is digital, I think. You know, the minute you leave your mobile, you're out of the world, you know. We felt in ITFC that member countries also they also change and they are either they are able to transform, I would say, to digitally or unable due to the lack of capacity or lack of ability to do that. So that's why we felt we also need to. Before we do that, we need to really, help them into assessing the gap, the digital gap that they need in member countries, and they differ from one country to another. So that's why we do conduct, this gap assessment. Through the gap assessment, you will see that a number of really recommendations that is recommended for the specific country to be able to implement, their digital transformation. In addition to that, we have created actually within the organization, within ITFC, we have created something called the Organizational Excellence. Organizational Excellence that tackles also the 2 points mentioned by Engineer Soyan, the efficiency and time, and also to help member countries do business better and do trade better. And that's why we feel that by connecting technology to business, I think we are going to able to really reach out and also help, member countries, especially in very, I would say, vital sectors like agricultural today. If you go and try to provide the farmers with a very simple digital solution, enabling him really to access information, being able to have soil testing, soil mapping, or maybe, reach to research centers, know how to do this, what to choose, which kind of fertilizers, and so on. So these digital solutions, in the past it used to be maybe dependent heavily on technologies like the remote sensing and all of this, yet used, but there are more advances actually. That's why we try to keep really member countries into this. Sometimes you need to go one step before by really providing what we call capacity building for these countries to be able to use technology. Otherwise, that's why we emphasize a lot on the training part. We train them a lot to raise the awareness and be able to, and we work closely actually with big institutions for example, we work with UNCTAD in Geneva in doing these assessments. We work with other centers in finding and doing like UNIDO and others in providing digital, support to these countries.
Mr. Qaisi, let us talk a little bit about what you're doing in support of Vision 2030. Could you discuss some emerging insurance products that could support the expansion of trade and investments under Vision 2030?
Definitely, when we address that matter, we have to put it in the context of the need of insurance and risk mitigation for the kingdom in Vision 2030. And that will necessitate for us to dissect it into sectorial issues that we have to look at. But nevertheless, there are overriding, risks that are prevailing globally, that definitely they are a challenge for Vision 2030 and even for the global community. One of the matters that we are all facing, it is climate change. Climate change, it is affecting us all at the heart and at the core. In respect, we've seen lots of droughts happening around us. We've seen lots of flooding happening as well.
It's enough to see what happened in the UAE just a week ago or 10 days ago. It's even affecting this part of the world.
Yes, I was there and I witnessed it firsthand, and I really saw the impact of that downpour that happened in the UAE during that week. But whenever you talk about climate change, similarly, you have to take it in tandem with the Vision 2030 that is talking about, food security, you're talking about energy, you're talking about agriculture. And this is where strides have been, achieved in respect of Vision 2030 and the kingdoms. And the figures that have been published very recently about, the progress under Vision 2030 last week shows that there are great advancements that are happening. But nevertheless, there should be insurance solutions, like you mentioned, to mitigate these risks in order for you to have the continuity, in order for you to keep that investment flow coming, and the predictability of these act of God and risks and disasters that are happening. And this is why now we see the resurgence at global level in something called parametric insurance. Parametric insurance has been there and available for a long time with the reinsurance market, where they collate the data in respect of the changes in environment, in weather conditions, in order for them statistically to go and to see how to price a risk and to anticipate, when it's going to happen and the effect of it on, a specific economy and the payout of a specific claim. So we see that happening now, where parametric insurance is becoming part and parcel of what we do. We even have acquired, new insurance tools in order for us to be able to underwrite these risks going forward. And these are things that we're putting, forth to our partners that are in Saudi Arabia, be it on the private sector and be it as well in the government. Second, renewable energy insurance that is there. We understand that there is that big transformation that is, planned in Saudi Arabia to divest from, carbon-based energy. And this is where we are having specific insurances that deals, with the new technologies that are there. This is a technology that is new to us as insurance companies, as users, as practitioners within the field in this region here. And this is the insurance that covers the development stage as well as the delivery of the end product. And this is as well, it safeguards any investment that is entering in order for us to be able to maintain this flow of investment. So in case of non-delivery or non-performance, this investment is secured and the investor will continue to invest in that field.
There is a big push in that area, not only in Saudi Arabia, but also all the countries of the region. Hydrogen projects and renewable projects, definitely.
Yeah, correct. This is why I said it is not something specific to Saudi Arabia, but to the vision, but also in the region and globally that is there. Something that we have been discussing as well, it is the digital transformation that we are seeing and that fourth, industrial revolution. This is putting on fast track. We have the digital trade and the e-commerce that we are all, looking at to see how we can embrace it. This will put us under the cyber risk insurance, and this is something that has become part and parcel of every strategy and every defense mechanism that a government is taking at the level of central banks and the policy in order to protect financial institutions and in order to protect businesses from cyber attacks that are happening over there. And this is something that Saudi Arabia has embraced, and the regulators have been very open in relaying the message about the need for institutions to safeguard and buy the necessary protection in order for them not to fall into these matters that are, I would say, national security and will affect, trade and commerce at the level of the institutions here. In addition to that, we still have the normal product that we are offering to bridge, the gap and the trade between investment and between trade with the private sector and the governments. And one thing that I would like to say at the level of ISIC, we are now working in order to launch our Sukuk product, which is the Islamic version of bonds. And we do believe it is very much needed. While we see countries, the likes of Saudi Arabia, they're going from CAPEX to OPEX, and this is meaning they're transferring the cost to the private sector. So Sukuk is going to be a very pivotal role where we play and we provide the buyers of Sukuk and the holder of Sukuk, with the security and peace of mind in case of non-payment or delay of payment or failing of Sukuk, that they can recover their money under the bond scheme that we have there. One last thing that I would like to add here, the importance of us being engaged there, because this is a product that any financial institution can issue. When we look at the composition of the membership that we have, for ISIC and for the Islamic Development Bank Group as a whole, we have many countries that they are emerging markets. Some of them have no rating or they have very low rating, and it's very difficult for them to secure, funding as of late, especially from the capital market. And if they do, it's going to be extremely expensive proposition for them. This is where us as institution, we pride ourselves on continuing to enhance our governance and financial capabilities and positioning to get the highest rating from rating institutions. For ISIC, we have the AA3 rating from Moody's. As of recently, we got the AA- from Standard & Poor's, which is the highest in the industry as an insurance operator, globally. And this will allow us not only to position ourselves, but to position our member states that are not rated to have access to our rating that becomes their rating when they go to the international market for borrowing. So in simple terms, we lend our rating to the member states in order to have access to cheap funding in order for them to execute development, specifically on the trade, and more so in respective developmental projects that are long-term in nature and might take for gestation from 15 to 17 to 20 years.
That's a very valuable tool. Engineer Sunbul, I'd like you to wear your ICD cap and let us discuss the targets for Vision 2030. There is a target that the private sector should contribute to 65% of GDP by 2030. So in order to achieve that, you need a bigger role for SMEs that in their turn need project financing. So can you tell us how are you tailoring your solutions at ICD to serve the SMEs, especially here in Saudi Arabia? Which sectors are you focused on? And can you give us some examples of projects that ICD has already financed?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think if we look at the strategic objective of the 2030 vision, the strategic objectives are fully in line with the ICD mandate. The ICD is devoted arm for the private sector and to develop the private sector. The vision is actually focusing on strategically, I'm talking about business here, is really on how to enhance ease of doing business, for example. And we saw Saudi Arabia, how really they are going really fast in the rank, going up by really improving the work and the business environment, and in the same time all the measures taken to improve. So it is in line. We know that privatization is very important. We know that also one of the strategic objectives is the to increase the FDIs, the foreign direct investment. And we have a lot of things that has to do also with the using the free zones, and we see that the new projects that are also coming up in Saudi Arabia to attract such direct investments, and all of this is actually in the heart of ICD's work. So I think that's very important to say. I think when we say that Saudi Arabia had a lot of potentials that now we are unlocking with this kind of a vision, where we can see that not only the SMEs, but the economy, the business in Saudi Arabia in general has really unleashed and unlocked a lot of potentials in all sectors, including, of course, the very important sector of tourism. And we have seen how fast really some of these KPIs being achieved. In ICD, we try to align. In the past, we've done almost $500 million of financing for the private sector, talking about corporate finance, and also the sectors that are very important to really diversify the economy is very important.
The priority sectors, I wanted to ask you, because now Saudi has 13 priority sectors to diversify the economy. So which sectors are you interested in when we talk about the emerging sectors in Saudi Arabia as well?
All these sectors are important, but mainly now we're looking at of course, energy, and we would like to play a role in all types of energy.
Including renewables?
Yes, that's very important for us. And also, as we can see now, there is a lot of projects that are either directly linked to the new, I would say, free zones and the new ports, logistical ports. Recently, we have been very much involved in exploring how ICD can be part of the NEOM, for example, and the Lion City projects in line with what we are really working very closely with the authorities on that. So, but also on the SMEs, we definitely still feel that the SMEs, who are really constituting 80 to 90% of the economic tissue of any country, deserves also a lot of support in accessing financing. This is one of their major problems here or anywhere in the world. And now we try to extend line of financing to banks so that they can also, we support the SMEs there. So over the years, we felt that, in Saudi Arabia, not only in financing the big corporates, but also we would like to see how we can support the SME as one of the priority sectors.
Professor Orama, we are talking about an ambitious vision here in Saudi Arabia. Can you tell us your view on how can regional, multilateral financial institutions like Afrexim Bank support countries pushing ambitious visions such as 2030 here in Saudi Arabia?
No, thank you very much. The multilateral financial institutions like ours are usually thought leaders and normally have very, very strong convening powers. So they can be also, they can be a source of knowledge and a source of ideas on how to transform economies of the type we are seeing here in Saudi Arabia. And at the Afrexim Bank, we actually have a function called the Trade Intelligence Solutions, that countries come to get ideas about best practices in other parts of the world. And those who serve in that function help countries to get the information, help them prepare themselves to learn from what works elsewhere. But beyond that, we also offer certain paid services through our advisory and capital markets function, where countries now want to introduce new policies, new ideas, new frameworks. We are able to help them do that. But it goes beyond visioning, goes beyond thinking. When you've thought, when you have visioned, you have to put things on the ground, as we've seen here in Saudi Arabia. And we have instruments, as I mentioned earlier, that enable them do that. We can help them prepare projects from our project preparation facilities. We help them do the investments they need to make on infrastructure, not only industrial infrastructure, but also trade-enabling infrastructure. We help them develop capacities that are required, because ultimately it's human beings that bring change, and capacity is important. We also help with market access. And as we look at what is going on here, we are really fascinated and see ourselves as African countries, really, really integrated in the vision here. If you look at the pillars, the first pillar being on the basis that Saudi Arabia is at the heart of the Arab and Islamic world. Africa has a large population of Arabs and Islamic people. The second being the investment powerhouse. Today, there can be no better place to invest than in Africa. That is the continent of the future. That is where that's the youngest population. That is a continent that will, in a very, very short time, be actually accounting for almost 40% of global population. It's a continent that has all the minerals you can think of that are yet to be exploited, not to talk of the water, agricultural land, all the things that the world today is lacking. That is where you find it. So that is a place that can become a good partner of Saudi Arabia as it implements the Vision 2030. And of course, the final one being the hub for global connection, connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. And for us in Africa, that is really very great, because what it then does is that it brings the global market nearer to us. If Saudi Arabia achieves this vision, so the global market is nearer, the African ports will become integrated into the Saudi ports. We are able to more effectively also diversify from natural resources, just as Saudi Arabia diversifies from oil. So we see these great opportunities, and it's not just about how can we transform and be like Saudi Arabia, but it will actually be how do we leverage what is going on in Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
In addition to many of what you mentioned, there has been a lot of interest from Saudi Arabia in the mineral sector in Africa, also the agricultural sector. In the last Futures Minerals Forum, there was a lot of announcements when it comes to mutual investments with African countries in the mineral sector. Engineer Soyan, let me go back to you to discuss efficiencies, because today we cannot talk about economic growth and diversification without talking about increasing efficiency, and here is where digital solutions play a very important role. So can you provide examples of successful digital initiatives that have significantly improved efficiency or accessibility in the sectors that we are talking about, trade and investment and insurance?
Sure, Nadine. First of all, let me maybe emphasize on one fact, that digital transformation is not an objective by itself. If any government or any enterprise is trying to do digital transformation because they want to do digital transformation, then this is a trap. Digital transformation is always a way, it's a method, it's a means, actually, to value creation. And value creation is basically three. It's a productivity, efficiency, and giving a better experience. And let me maybe give some examples that we have seen this in Saudi Arabia, part of the different programs and objectives of Vision 2030. For basic services, whether it is the issuance or the renewal of national IDs, driving licenses, or even passports, before digitalization, it was taking more than 4 hours, including the waiting time at the government department. And today, it is actually less than 2 minutes without the need actually to visit the government department with only 3 clicks. And this has actually made us saving more than 160 million trips and more than 23 billion Saudi riyal annually. And this is the value that we are talking about, the way how productivity and reducing cost is giving not only for government, but also for citizens and enterprises. The same goes in the justice sector. Today we have a fully functional virtual court in which 95% of all of the hearings are being made online. And again, this is not an objective by itself. But the objective is to get the outcome in which we have managed to reduce the leading time for the cases or the processing time from opening the case to issuance of the resolution from an average of 217 days only to less than 30 days. And this is the value that we are getting from digital transformation. The same goes to the virtual hospital as well. Here in Saudi, using the virtual clinics, 25% of all of the medical consultation are being made online. The prescription is published in your medical digital file, and you can go to the neighborhood pharmacy to collect the medicine. And this is also going on the trade as well as the private sector services. It doesn't take more than 180 seconds to issue your commercial registration. Not only that, but the government is helping the private sector to grow their businesses. All the tendering today that the government is actually publishing, I mean the public tendering, are all online. We have tendered already more than 1 million tenders online, and we are making the private sector actually participating in these tendering by digital submission. Not only that, but also submitting their invoices using the digital platform. The processing of the payments before digitalization for the private sector, it was taking more than 180 working days. Today, it is less than 30 days because of the digitalization. And I would like to invite everyone to the Innovation Pavilion, which is in Via Riyadh. If you have time, it is actually after 5 p.m. today and tomorrow, so you are all mostly welcome in Via Riyadh to see the virtual hospital and other great exhibitions that we are having.
I will ask one last question before I open the floor to questions from the audience. Mr. Qaisi, when we are talking about cross-sector synergies, what are some successful examples of insurance mechanisms that you can share with us that have effectively supported large-scale trade and or investment projects in other regions?
Well, I see many partners of ours here on the panel and in the audience, and I do say it's a collaborative effort, and this is where again we mention collaboration and partnership. ISEC could not perform where we are if we do not have the collaboration of specifically the reinsurance market and similarly the international financial institutions and MDBs alike. ISEC, just to put it into context, we have a very modest capital, about $240 million. But we manage year in and year out to leverage that capital in the tune of 50 times. And this is something that none of the banks that are here, at least, can claim that they can leverage their capital this much because of capital adequacy issues and so on and so forth. And that leverage is coming from the reinsurance market that is there. ISEC has been doing business within the membership for the last 30 years, and we are celebrating this year as well 30 years of service to the member states. One of the projects that we are really proud here in this Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, in the city of Riyadh, is us being involved in the Riyadh Metro project. I do believe that this is a very key project that started a decade back, and now we are seeing the benefit of that project as it is being open to the public and to go forward. It has had a tremendous value, and it will, on the lifestyle and of the people of Riyadh, and cutting down the timing that you are spending on the road. Similarly, it will create close to 30,000 jobs. So we always, as institutions working at the Islamic Development Bank and with the developing community, we always measure the development that we do and our involvement with the end result. And this is where we go into, effectiveness development, reviews at the end of the projects in order to learn from what we have done and how we can go forward. Similarly, next door, we go to the United Arab Emirates. We are very proud as well of doing the very first project, which is waste to energy, that we have supported with our friends and colleagues from SMBC. This is an extremely important project to go within the climate change policy for the UAE. And while this project has been fast-tracked, similarly UAE has reached within a very short time its It's targets to meet for solid waste by 2020, not into the 2030 like they were looking to do that. So we see the impact that is coming from there. Similarly, I would like just to mention a little bit, other than having this impact from these mega projects you mentioned, that we work on ensuring and allowing the financing to continue flow into these projects. We have to also touch on the other element, which is the financing of trade, where ISIC as well has done a great job over the last 30 years. And this is, it falls in the same line, but there is as well to save the sanctity of humanity and the decent living. We see that a lot, and I always go back and I think about the COVID period and what we have done in order to support economies in the period of COVID, while we are supplying, the medications or the necessities that were required by hospital that were the shortage, and in respect of us how to can move and to go forward with these issues. We have done a great job in supporting SMEs in Egypt, and we have done as well similarly in other parts of the membership. So it's a partnership, like I said, between us and the member states. We follow in their footsteps, but similarly it is the private sector represented here today that is really standing hand by hand with the people of the membership in order to deliver on our mandate.
Thank you, Mr. Qaisi. We promised to take a couple of questions from the audience, and we have raised hands. So if we can pass on the microphone, please always tell us your name and who the question is addressed to, and make your question very brief, and we will try to answer them. Tfaddal.
Hamid Rashid Al-Zayani. I'm chairman of Midal Saudiya. And I'd like first to congratulate ISD for 50 years, and also congratulate veteran people like Hani and Osama for being for 40 years plus working. So am I, working with you very successfully. I think I'd like to answer first what you, last question that you put to Ustad Osama. We have benefited a lot of ensuring with ISIC for many years, for at least 25 years now. Now, I'd like to put the question to Mr. Hani, and I hope this is, I'm catching you off guard with this question. What is the size of the inter-Islamic business that there is, or what's going on, and what is the projectile? Can we create like a club of accredited customers so that we can have a platform to increase the inter-Islamic trade between the accredited customers? Is that a possibility that we can go under your auspices? Thank you very much.
Please, quick answers so that we can cover more questions. Tfaddal.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency. I really thank you for this, but you revealed my age now by saying 40 years. I thought this is just, I worked in IDB when I was 10 years old, so don't worry about it.
It's just a number.
Okay, actually, we're still now struggling with the percentage of intra-OIC trade, but we did a lot during the 10th, OIC program to increase this percentage to go above 25%, but we're still lagging behind. And especially now with also after COVID, slowed down a little bit because of the crisis. And for the platforms that actually we are working with partners like Africa Exim Bank now on trade platforms that where we have accredited, I would say, customers, and they have really in Africa Exim Bank, they have done quite well in really connecting. We tried connecting businessmen, and we are trying now to replicate this, inshallah, in other regions, but this is a very good story, and I'm sure that in the coming future we will see more and more of these digital platforms. We try also to do trade, what we do digital trade by really using existing platforms today in like Polorio and others that where governments, with corporates, they can use these for efficiency and faster really turnaround.
Mr. Qaisi, you have a comment, quickly, please.
Just very quickly, thank you, Mr. Ziyani, for the questions. Intra-trade is very important for us as a group in order for us to complement the economies and to do more business together. Your question is extremely at the heart of development of the trade sector that you're talking about. And here I cannot but recognize the trade platform that Afreximbank have in Africa, and it is available for all of us as partners to deal with them. And it's a great platform that we use at the group level. But similarly, I just would like, in addition to that platform, we have went to the COMSAC, which is the arm of the OIC that manages the relationship of trade and investment among the membership in 2018, and we were tasked as ISIC on behalf of the group to start, the establishment of an OIC Business Intelligence Center that started on the backdrop that there's no credit information available to exporters, to banks, to insurance companies in order for us to support your extension into other markets and in order for you to widen the scope of your exports. This is a great initiative that we are working on, and there has been in advanced stages. There's lots of information on our website, but just to stop here, we can sit with you, talk to you about this, and we can share this information that is available on our website about this initiative at the level of the 57 member states of the OIC.
Gentlemen, our time is tight, so we're going to take 3 questions after each other, and then I will ask you to answer them. Please let us start with the first question. Always tell us your name and the question. They will turn it on when you speak.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Mehla Talebna, a former minister and the president of the National Observatory for Women and Girls' Rights in Mauritania. I would like first to congratulate ISDB Group for the celebration of the 50 years and for the Jubilee, Golden Jubilee. I have been in the OIC for a few years between 2015 and 20, and I know what you are doing for developing countries, for supporting governments and the private sector. But I'm wondering, what are you doing for women? For supporting women SMEs, please. That's very important.
Can we have another question, and then we will try to answer them together? We have many raised hands. Yes, please.
So first of all, congratulations to ISDB Group for 50 years of celebration. My name is Suresh Yadav, and I'm Senior Director in the Commonwealth Secretariat, London. My question is very specific, that Islamic instruments are very powerful transformative tools for the development of the countries. But at the same time, there are other institutions like the World Bank, ADB have similar instruments. So how do you combine together using the technology to make it further more powerful instrument for the member countries? Thank you very much.
Okay, let's answer these 2 questions, and then we will take a couple more. Who would like to answer the women's SME question and the second question now about collaborations?
His Excellency, Her Excellency says, what can we do for women? We cannot really avoid women at all. We have to have women in all our inclusive programs. IDB Group, actually the whole concept in the strategy of IDB Group as a group, inclusivity, where we do not want to leave anybody behind, especially women and youth. Women are doing great job in many sectors in our member countries, especially in the least developed member countries, where we see the role of women is very much appreciated. I think, if you want to talk about ICD and ITFC, they have done quite a great job. We are, for example, in ITFC, we are also, Mauritania is included, in the program called She Trade, where you're trying to connect million, businesswomen over the world, over a platform, and also to raise their capacity and increase their capacities to be able to do business. This is one of the programs that we just went in. Brave Women is where ICD, it's called Brave Women, where we also try to build the capacities of women in also least developed member countries to be able to do the jobs. In addition to that, we help them with the B2B. We have now participated in handcrafts and expos like Turathana in Egypt, where women actually is in the heart of that. We do business to B2B for women, business entrepreneurs. We try to help. There's a long list actually of what we do for really women-led businesses in member countries. And I think now we are still going on with very ambitious plans, inshallah.
Engineer Swayan has a comment about that.
So I would like to share just a number with the great question that we had about women empowerment. Here in Saudi, we are already approaching 40% in the workforce, which is exceeding the Euro average and also the Silicon Valley average. So this is already a fact.
And the target set out by Vision 2030.
More than this, on the collaboration, I would like to emphasize the collaboration that we have today with ISDB to share these products, technology products, in which we are going to have innovative financial products actually to finance the digital infrastructure. It's great to build a hospital, to build a school, a road or a bridge, but also it's very important to have the digital infrastructure because it may give you a higher return because of the telemedicine services or the distance learning or others.
Mr. Qaisi, the second question, let's answer it and then we take one more and that's
very
it.
Quickly, we have to highlight here that there is a great collaboration at the level of the MDBs. And here you brought the questions about the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, and similarly we have African Development Banks and the others. But there's great coordination even at the level of the private sector institutions where we are providing our knowledge and know-how, specifically in the Islamic finance sphere. We talked about these solutions. I recall here there is a program that we have called Deep Dive, which is between the IDB group and between the World Bank group, where we share our expertise in respect of Islamic finance. Similarly, when there are common projects that are being financed at the level of the MDBs, always, sometimes you find that there is an Islamic tranche and there is a conventional tranche over there. So there is always that collaboration between MDBs and having these Islamic solutions that definitely knowledge is being transferred and they are acquiring it. It makes the proposition the more powerful and will prevent and it will provide as well additional funding to the markets but where we are operating into the countries.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. There is someone with a microphone, so we will take one more question, Azaruna, because of the time. Please tell us your name and ask the question. Tell us who is it addressed to.
So I am Dr. Amani Asfour, President for the Africa Business Council, which is established by the Heads of State Decision Summit to be the voice of the African private sector, including SMEs, women and youth. Our founding vision is a competitive, borderless, innovative Africa for trade, investment, and industrialization, which speaks very much to the session's title. So I would like really to ask Engineer Sombol, ICD, and our brother President Orama and the panelists, how can those very big institutions collaborate with the voice of the African private sector with reference to strengthening the private sector? We have already also initiated 3 funds for Africa. Africa Innovate Fund for youth startups, which will cater for all the startups of the continent. Africa Medical Facility, which help into building hospitals, and the other one, Africa Medical Technology. How can those institutions support with reference to development in Africa? Thank you.
Professor Orama, would you like to start with the answer?
Thank you. She's the chair of Africa Business Council, so she has to be the champion of that, and she knows all the things we are doing at Flexim Bank to support the businesses can be categorized into different segments depending on their levels of maturity. But let me focus on maybe the SMEs where she focused her question on. We have an SME program in our Flexim Bank. And the SME program is targeting supporting SMEs, not only just by providing them financing, but also providing a capacity building and doing advocacy, working with them, the Africa Business Council, to make sure that the policies and the regulations align with what the SMEs are looking for. And we just got an approval to launch a venture capital fund from our board of directors. That venture capital fund is focused also on supporting SMEs to provide them long-term capital that they need to be able to succeed. And in the area of digital, to do business in a vast continent as Africa requires market access. So what we've done is to create the Africa Trade Gateway. The Africa Trade Gateway is an ecosystem of digital platforms that provides a one-stop marketplace for anybody who wants to do anything in Africa. It provides you access to trade information, which is driven by artificial intelligence to predict supply chains. It provides you information on trade regulations all across the 55 countries on the continent. It provides information on the KYC platform, where we have onboarded thousands of businesses, including SMEs, for people to do due diligence on them. You also have the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement compliant e-commerce platform, which is business to business and business to government platform, which is also accessible to SMEs. We, of course, provide, as I mentioned earlier, training and financing ultimately for those SMEs that need finance, especially supply chain finance and factoring and such financing that we think are appropriate for SMEs. But I must take the opportunity to congratulate the Africa Business Council, which our sister leads, for the work they are doing, especially in promoting the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. We're working with them to make sure that the council becomes the platform for organizing the vast business sector on the continent, including the SMEs. Thank you.
On that note of optimism about collaboration and opportunity, I would like to close this panel. I would like to thank our speakers for your insights and the audience for their engagement and patience with us. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
على هذه الجلسة الممتعة والثرية.
Thank you very much for this very important session. I would like to thank all the speakers and I would like to thank my dear sister journalists for really managing this session. Now we are going to have a very short break, 15 minutes break. We are going to meet.
نكون على الموعد.
So please let us observe the time, 15 minutes break only.